everyone. It's CJ, and welcome to our program, Hello, Dr. CJ, What's Life All About? Sit back and enjoy the beat and get ready, because our program's going to start momentarily.
Hello, everybody. This is Stephanie Martin, co-host of Hello, Dr. CJ, and I'll be filling in for CJ today. CJ won't be able to join us today, and we will miss her, but we look forward to having her back on next Friday. So we have a great show, again, another great show planned for you today, and we're going to be talking about the Photon Genius. This is a device where it's nurturing the immune system with infrared energy and noble gas technology. So I'm really excited to hear all about this, and I know a lot of our listeners are too. So we have a returning guest, Jennifer Oliver. She has definitely been on the show several times before and always given us great information. And we also have another guest with Jennifer, Mr. Warren Starnes. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jennifer, and then I will bring in Warren. Jennifer Oliver, after a traumatic event in her life, created major imbalances in her health. Her blood test revealed chronic inflammatory response syndrome due to exposure to mold. Jennifer was in search of a way to bring balance back into her health. She was so impressed with the personal accounts and testimonials she had heard about with the Photon Genius that she decided to buy one for herself and make it available for public use. She is now the owner of Energy Life Center in Eureka, California. Thank you so much for joining us, Jennifer. Are you there?
Yes, and thank you, Stephanie, for having us on the show. And a big thumbs up to Warren to join us today, because I know he's very busy answering the phone. He and Jamie answer the phone calls at Skilling Institute, and he has a lot of great information for us. So thank you to both of you. I'm happy to be here today.
So much for both of you coming on today, too. So I'd like to introduce next Warren Starnes. Hi, Warren. How are you?
Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm
Glad to be on the show.
Glad
to be on the show with you.
Oh, this is great. Why don't you go ahead and just give us a little bit of background about the Skilling Institute?
Yeah, the Skilling Institute's been #1 in the world in the field of electro-medicine. A lot of people have heard of Rife Instruments and Lakosky and Abrams and the guys in the past. Well, Ed Skilling was 17 years the senior electronics design engineer for General Dynamics when he was commissioned by California cancer doctors to improve or add space-age electronics to the old Rife kind of frequency technologies. And the first instrument he made in 1959 got better results than anybody in history. And he's been #1 in the world ever since, and it's led to the recent development and release a couple of years ago of the Photon Genius, which is the first and only energy infrared electromedicine instrument, and it's like the Skilling technology on steroids the size of a truck, and it just really changes everybody in as little as one session, which is an average of about 30 minutes. And Jennifer Oliver has one at her Energy Life Center in Eureka, and she's had nothing but Eureka moments. So, because it just changes the chemistry of the body, the energy of the body. It gets rid of wrinkles, blemishes, reconditions the skin, gets rid of cellulite. It's the only known way to get rid of cellulite, which is a really big problem. And the fringe benefits are it gets rid of infections in the body, it disinfects the blood, it creates the richest supply of nitric oxide, which has been noted as the miracle molecule. There's been over 100,000 documents written in just the last 5 years extolling the benefits of nitric oxide. There was a book written called No More Heart Disease, and the "no" in the title of the book is for nitric oxide. Well, this energy sauna is the first and only instrument that creates the biggest supply of nitric oxide and transfers and generates it to all tissues, all parts of the blood, because it does your whole body at one time. So it's just been nicknamed a miracle machine.
Wow.
And I'll agree with that.
Okay, so there was all kinds of great stuff that you said this machine does, and I definitely want to know more. So, Jennifer, will you tell me how you got involved with this, and what is your experience? What are you seeing happening? And tell me what's going on with your new business.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to. My health really took a dive last year, and it's taken me, as always, when you don't know exactly what's going on, you spend a lot of money, and you go to a lot of doctors to try to find answers. And what I finally discovered was that I had a chronic inflammatory response syndrome, and that was due to a mold exposure. And I know a lot of people listening today may have the same kind of issue, because mold is a big issue, and so is Lyme's. And so for those people, I do want to say how much better I feel being in this machine 45 minutes a day. It's made a big impact on my life and how I feel, how I sleep, how the inflammation is going down. And I also want to say that I had been treated on the Shoemaker. Dr. Shoemaker is on the East Coast, and he has a protocol for mold. And I had gone through that protocol for 5 months, and it was working, but it was working very slowly. And not only did I have inflammation that was rampant in my body, but also it drove my hormones way out of whack, so including my thyroid. So I know a lot of people have secondary issues because of the mold. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, and it's really hard to pin all those little things down and get answers unless you spend a lot of money and a lot of blood tests later, to really figure out, and a very astute doctor to put a finger on all of that as well. So a lot of people aren't as fortunate to get answers, but with the Photon Genius, I heard some personal stories of people that I knew, and did the research, and I was so impressed, I decided that this would be the machine that could help me. And so I traveled to Arizona. I met with Warren and Jamie, both at Skilling Institute office, and I purchased the machine and had my first session in Arizona. And after my first 30-minute session, my stomach, which has bothered me every day for years and years and years and years and years, no longer hurt. And for me, that was a big deal, because I was flying, and I really, that for me to be, for my stomach to feel great for the first time in like 30 years was a big deal after one session. So I know it went after probably the candida, the fungus, the mold, the parasites in my gut. And my knee also had a healing, and it took a week, but after 7 days of pain in my knee after my first session, on the 8th day, the pain and the inflammation disappeared, and I feel like I have a new knee. And that was an old injury. So it's amazing what this machine can do, and how much better I feel, how much better I sleep, how softer my hair and skin are. I mean, just little things that can make a big difference in your life. And I have seen it do similar things and even more for people coming in, and just right now we have a lot of people coming in to just see what the machine is all about, because there aren't very many machines available. There are only 2 in California that I know about that are available for people to use, and mine is one of them. So people are just coming in and looking at the machine and just standing in the light, not even with the infrared heat on. They notice that their head starts draining, or their lymph starts draining, and they can feel differences as they walk out, and their hands no longer hurt, or they're just standing there looking at the machine, seeing what it does, and walk out and say, wow, you're right, this is, it's just incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I might say something here. Jennifer is very typical of a lot of us that walk around and we feel pretty good, but let me give you an example. During the course of this show, 120 people will be diagnosed with cancer. 60 of them will die just during the course of this one show. And all of them felt pretty good before they got their diagnosis. The classic example is a guy goes to his doctor and, and for his normal annual or couple of year checkup. And the doctor says, hey, your heart's good, kidneys are good, brain's good, you're in pretty good shape, but you got this little spot on your pancreas and you got 6 weeks to live. And the explanation of the patient is, I don't understand it. How could I only have 6 weeks when I feel pretty good? Well, the point is that we never feel any of these coming because of one primary reason. All of our critical organs, our brain, our heart, our kidneys, our pancreas, our liver, our kidneys, our adrenals, have absolutely zero feeling in them. Feeling has nothing to do with it. Our problem is we're born in a country where we're literally raised, our parents, every adult we've ever known, believes to their core belief that if you feel okay, you are okay. That couldn't be anything further from the truth because there's no feeling in any of these organs that kill you. So if we're not proactive and just really get rid of these quality of life little symptoms nature gives us these warnings, we're all like deer in headlights. The difference between us and deer in headlights is we're blind. We don't see anything going on in our body. So we kind of have to go by some kind of symptoms. And this is the biggest quality of life machine in history. And Ed Skilling had a portable model, the Photon Genie, which people can use at home, sleep with it at night, did a lot of these things, but not on the scale and not as fast as this Photon Genius. The thing that Jennifer mentioned, that she noticed things in one session. Well, we've been around the health field, and a lot of people have. A lot of people consider them health-oriented, holistic or vegan, vegetarian, or whatever. But, during our experience in the health field is, the general rule is if you find something that's supposed to be good for you, you got to do it for 90 days, 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, and you don't really notice anything. I've been doing this for like nearly 40 years. I've been in the health field trying everything that's supposed to be good for a problem or prevent you from getting something as bad as cancer or whatever. And then you just wind up at a later part in your life with cancer. So there are a lot of these silent killers that we're totally unaware of. And the point is when you find something in the health field that can change your cells, your tissues, your organs, the systems of your body, and everything right out to your skin, and it's noticeable, it's revolutionary. And it's this Energy Life Center in Eureka is a place you can just go for 30 minutes, and I'm telling you, it's a showstopper. It changes the game. It's a lifesaver. And how this basically works is that, we're concerned about heart issues. We're concerned about the fact that we can't sleep or we can't poop or we can't digest food. Well, Plato said in 400 BC, the part can never be well unless the whole is well. The trick to this technology is it reconditions every cell, every square inch of your skin. It disinfects your blood. Well, people have liver problems, kidney problems, heart problems. Doesn't get any better than fixing them in reverse by detoxing, disinfecting, oxygenating, putting nitric oxide and oxygen and ozone into your blood just by standing or sitting in this thing for 30 minutes. It's about time. I mean, the whole health field has been begging for something that would work, that was noticeable, and it's virtually unheard of in the health field. But this is a big one. And it's right there in Eureka.
Wow. So this is definitely new for me. I have not heard of this before. Tell me again how long this has been about, how long it's been around, and what a session would look like.
Well, here's the history is Ed Skilling developed a noble gas harmonic tube technology instrument for a practitioner for a rare form of cancer 40 years ago. And this was the only one instrument that he developed for this one doctor in this rare cancer. This is a young lady that had tumors over every square inch of her body. I'd never even heard anything like that. She was extreme pain. She couldn't even have clothes on without hurting. So he developed this, and it only had about 14 feet of this noble gas harmonic electronic energy transfer, RF transmission of the energy to the body. And within 6 weeks, she was out riding a bicycle. Now, I didn't find out about this until about 15 years ago. And again, I didn't really start pushing real hard to develop a bigger version of that until I was diagnosed with bladder, prostate, urethra, and skin cancer 5 years ago. And they gave me 6 months to live. And I went all over the world, everywhere from China, Russia, Japan, Korea. I hunted down shaman, gurus, doctors, healers, Indian medicine men, Chinese herbal specialists. And, you know, it was all I could do to barely keep myself alive until we developed this technology. And this is the only thing that finally put the brakes on. And it basically is the principle that Plato stated, 400 BC. If a part of your body is sick, the doctor says you got the tumor in this liver, you got a tumor in your colon, you got this tumor in your brain. Hey, the biggest trick in history that the genius led us to, and the genius of Ed Skilling developed, is that if you can fix the rest of your body fast enough, cancer can't take it. It can't keep up. You out-compete it. I have a book coming out the end of the year, and on the cover is this statement, which is new news for anybody dealing with any of these catastrophic illnesses. Cancer is not a disease you treat. It's an enemy you beat. Well, if you have a disease, you need a doctor and you need a treatment. If you have an enemy, you need weapons. The Skilling technology are instruments. They're weapons. They force change in the body. I've tried to balance my pH for 15 years, peeing on paper every morning and eating alkaline stuff and drinking alkaline water. I never got it done, ever. And again, now I know why. If you don't apply power at the control portion of the body, the cellular level, if you do not force balance, you're not going to get it just sticking something in your mouth. So all of these imbalances that we wind up with, all of these strange diagnosed names, are all from the same causes. The average person is walking around with 20 to 40 infections. And most people say, I don't have an infection because I'm not coughing up anything green. I'm not blowing my nose. I don't have a fever. But these non-presenting, non-symptomatic, low-grade infections actually ruin your blood. So you have infections. These infections are eating all the oxygen in your blood. You can't hold minerals, and you can't hold oxygen. If you can't hold minerals, you won't hold oxygen. And if you don't have minerals and oxygen, every organ in your body is just going to starve to death. It may still work. Your heart may be pumping, but it is not going to do it forever and not very long if you don't have oxygen and minerals. And you can't balance your pH without oxygen and minerals. And so in order to force balance until you can clear the infections, which lets you stay balanced, you just basically get in this instrument every day, every other day, 2 or 3 times a week. It's always in proportion to how serious the diagnosis is or how serious the person is about changing their body. But finally, regardless of how serious anybody was in the past, you couldn't do anything about it. Now, if you're serious enough, you get in this thing often enough, it just changes you from the cells out.
Wow. So can you tell me a little bit then about like the photon light and what the electromagnetic radiation, so tell me a little bit about some of the elements that make up
it's a combination of technologies that do 4 things. It charges and balances the energy of all of your cells of your body. You've never had it done. It has to be done for you, to you. You can't just go think your way into balance, and you can't just stick stuff in your mouth and get balance, because we've been doing it all our life, and we wind up out of balance. And the longer we live, the more out of balance we are, and the more symptoms, and the more you notice, and the more problems that you have. And so by charging and balancing the energy of the cells, it forces this balance, which changes or powers up the organs of the body to create change. It reflows all the nerve paths of the body, which all organs are controlled by, which leads to better sleep, better digestion, better elimination, because it's this low energy state that causes all these organs to be susceptible to all of the things that we're exposed to. You know, a healthy young child can be exposed. They go to school and sneeze and blow and cough and hug and run and sweat with these other little kids, and they just pass in these. And, you know, only a small percentage of kids actually come down with something because their immune system's at its strongest level. You can't live in this toxic world and just get stronger by accident. And you can't get stronger just by living and thinking and having willpower and knowing, reading good health books or anything else. You have to force these kinds of balances into the body. So it also moves and balances all the fluids of the body electronically. So by moving the lymph system, which is the primary system that actually manages toxins in your body, and it doesn't move. Every once in a while somebody says, you know, I move my lymph system. I say, well, how do you do it? Well, I jump on this rebounder. I say, excuse me? Oh, yeah, I get on a rebounder and I exercise and I move my lymph. Well, that's a good thought, but it doesn't work that way. It's like paste in your body. You have pints of blood and you have quarts of lymph, and it's paste. It's not a fluid. You know, talking about moving the lymph implies that it's movable, but it's not. It's connective. It's all it's like paste head to toe. And because it doesn't move, and the only known way to move it is called vigorous exercise. I had a sweet little older lady come to me one time and said, you know, I do vigorous exercise. I said, well, what kind of exercise have you done? She said, well, I walk at the mall. I said, well, bless your little heart, that's a good thing to do. Exercise is good for the body, but it ain't doing anything for your lymph. It doesn't move. It's historic. It's the primary underlying cause of all diseases is the lack of the ability to manage toxins. Well, if you electronically stimulate every cell into balance of the body, it forces the lymph system to move, and that's one of the reasons why everybody notices the difference using the Photon Genie portable, sleep with it at night, or the Photon Genius doing sessions. And it's just even more dynamic than anything in history with the Genius. And the other thing that it does is it balances all four polarities of energy of the body. People don't really realize that a battery has two polarities, a positive and negative. The body has four. That's how much more dynamic and energetic that we are. And there's no instrument in the world that you can test to balance all four polarities of energy of the body other than Skilling technology. That's one of the reasons why he's had this worldwide reputation and doctors in 42 countries that recommend it. And we don't talk about it because it just does it. People don't care how it does as long as they just feel better, get better, start sleeping, start pooping, start digesting. And so these dynamic things that the Skilling technology does also incorporates with the Photon Genius the first energy infrared in history. And here's the historic point. Everybody's heard of infrared saunas, infrared bulbs. Well, they've been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. In Finland, they have one sauna for every household.
Wow.
In Europe and other countries, shoot, they believe in them, they do them, they got them everywhere. The problem with infrared is they're all in wooden boxes. Well, my research I found out that wood absorbs infrared. Well, if I need infrared for health benefits, and I need a lot of it because I have something that's trying to kill me real quick, so I don't need to just be sitting around sweating a little bit. I need infrared targeted to these organs, these tissues, to every square inch of my body, and targeted with intensity. Well, you can't get that in a normal sauna. Sitting in a wooden box to get infrared is like getting in line at the buffet behind the Dallas Cowboys. You may not get anything to eat. You're getting scraps. And for the first time, and that's why we designed it for this purpose, you literally can control the micron size of the infrared, everything from near infrared to far infrared. And the benefit is there's different benefits for the body for near infrared. There's different noted historic benefits for the body for far infrared. This is the only sauna in history and the only one that's targeted intense that you can transmit and focus on any one part of your body, that you can control the micron size of the infrared, the full spectrum of infrared. Never been done, never available in history until the Photon Genius. And infrared has been documented and endorsed by all medical doctors. This is not some little alternative kind of idea here. Medical doctors have endorsed infrared. They use it for newbies, for little preborn babies. They use infrared everywhere except where we need it the most in our body to kill pathogens and promote balance and regenerate tissue, cells, organs, systems of the body. So it's a big deal. It's historic.
Okay, so what is the ozone and the bio-oxidative therapies? Is that part of it too, or is this different?
Yeah, because this is this unique combination of noble gases is what they're called. It's a combination that Edskelling developed this now nearly 40 years ago for this one instrument that got this results. I heard this doctor in a phone conversation with Edskelling. He mentioned this big doodah, this big box that he made, and he said, how's it working for you? She said, oh, I still have it. He said, well, how's it doing? She said, well, I'm still batting 1,000. And she treated nothing but cancer patients with this instrument. And so what it does, these noble gases all have a different molecular weight, and when you fire them as a plasma in a tube, in a vacuum, they create a plasma state through which, when you transfer certain frequencies and harmonics, you develop a whole different spectrum of harmonics that are transmitted from the tube to anything that's near it, like standing or sitting in front of it or whatever. They've had people get in the Photon Genius and not even turn the infrared, the heat transmission, energy infrared on at all, just use the noble gas harmonics, which is like an electron bath to the body. And it promotes emotional balance. So you get all these emotional clearings, which everybody's concerned about these days. It promotes balance at every cell, tissue, organ, system level of the body. And because the body is made resistant, it's called the impedance of the body. It's an electronics term for resistance. Everything pretty much stops at our skin because that's the way God made our bodies. It took Edskelling, this electronics genius, 40 years to figure out how to transmit these harmonics, these frequencies to the body in harmony with the impedance, the resistance of the body, so it does go to all your cells, all the way to your bones. The classic example of resistance to the body, because some people say, well, how do I know my body's resistant? Well, in Arizona here, you can go out and lay out in the sun, 100, 105 degrees, and hey, within a few hours, you're going to be third-degree blister burned. You'll be in intensive care, but guess what? Doctor comes in, you're in intensive care, and he says, well, you really cooked yourself. The bad news is you're probably going to have some skin grafts, some plastic surgery. But the good news is your brain's okay, your heart's okay, your kidneys are good, your liver's good. Excuse me a minute. Didn't you just lay in one of the hottest things in our universe and third degree burn your butt, and you're in intensive care, but it didn't do anything to these critical organs, and they're only a fraction of an inch under your skin? Well, that's no accident. God made us that way. So everybody knows the danger of EMFs and microwaves and a lot of these things flying around our atmosphere here that we're exposed to. But, man, you have to be in it for 20 years or whatever before you just notice that it's really affecting things. They are negative. They are damaging. It's better to avoid them. But God made us so that we are hard to kill. It takes us 50, 60, 70 years of exposures to things we have no idea, don't see, infections we're totally unaware of, deficiencies that we just constantly are like a plane heading for the ground. You know, you're born at 40,000 feet, and every time you get exposed to a chemical, it pitches your plane a little toward the ground. Every time you get an infection, you pitch a little over. And anytime you can expose the body to ozone, which no germ, fungus, mold, or virus can live in the presence of ozone, anytime you can add oxygen to your blood, which your blood isn't holding because it's infected and eating it all up, anytime that you can bring bioavailable balance of energy, oxygen, minerals to any of the fluids of the body's just going to do better. It's why it's not doing good to begin with is you have all these problems you're totally unaware of.
Wow. So it's amazing, though, that people are getting the results as soon and as quick as one session. That's just amazing.
And that's a very good point, Stephanie. Here's the thing. Again, in the health field, you don't find anything you notice real quick. And, all these doctors tell you, the alternative doctors say, it takes time. It took you time to screw it up. It's going to take you time to fix it. Well, that's true. It is true. And only with the genius of Ed Skilling and the electronics that we have available these days and all of this experience of developing these result-oriented instruments, can you really do something noticeable, number one, and pretty quick, number two, which is another praise the Lord moment, because God blessed us with the ability to recover from just darn near anything. The problem is they don't understand what it is to begin with, so you're doing a lot of guesswork. The classic word in the medical field is, we'll try this, and if that doesn't work, we'll try something else. Well, you know what try rhymes with? Die. And that's what happens. We watch all our family members. We're now next in this try till you die. Well, some of us are not that patient, and some of us are not that tolerant. I was very unwilling to just try stuff when I was already dead and diagnosed to be dead. Nothing would work, inoperable. And I went around trying everything you've heard of and stuff you haven't. So I found out what does and what doesn't work. And no matter what I found that worked and helped a little and bought me a little bit of time, I never really completely put the brakes on because it was just not enough. My doctor, when I was 12 years old, I went to him, I had the flu, and it was the first time I had an experience where I found out that, about death. You just feel like you're going to die. And so my doctor, checked everything, your tongue and your ears and all that kind of stuff, which doesn't reveal anything about except when it's too late. So, he's just doing what they were trained to do in the medical field. And at the end of all of this, he said, yeah, you got the flu, and I'm going to write you a prescription. He hands me the sheet of paper, and he says, now, Warren, you take this, take all of it, and if that doesn't work for you, I'll give you something else. Now, I was 12, naive, just a little innocent kid. And I said, well, Dr. Oliver, why don't you go ahead and give me now what you're going to give me next? He said, Warren, just do what I tell you. I went home and told my dad about it. He said, now, Warren, you just do what the doctor says. And that's the mentality that we're all raised in, and we're struggling with it now. And the good news here is you don't have to believe anything. You can go stand in this thing or sit in it for 30 minutes. It's a no-brainer. It changes everybody noticeably. It's not going to fix everything. It's not going to fix something serious. It's not going to change something you cooked up all your life. Yeah, you may have to do it for a few weeks. It depends on what you're starting with, how bad it is, how deep-seated it is, how many infections you got. Well, I've had people that come to our clinic, and we test them, and the worst one had over 200 infections. Well, he was only diagnosed with a few months to live, so he had infections just coming out of his ears or whatever. But the average person that is healthy has 20 to 40 infections and never knows it. They all begin with deficiencies. And the infections promote more deficiencies by eating all your minerals and sucking up all your oxygen. So there's nothing you can do to think your way out of this. And everybody is on the same path in life. I have said it many times. Nobody leaves this planet without a serious diagnosis. And then somebody tells me, well, I've been sick in 30 years. My point to them is, guess what, dude? You're going to get the most serious diagnosis anybody can have because these infections promote other infections. They starve you from all your minerals and all your oxygen that feeds all your organs and systems and your brain. And you just can't have contaminated blood that gets more contaminated all the time without winding up with some serious diagnosis. And if everybody waits till they get the diagnosis, well, it's adios. So when you have the ability to change any part of the body, let alone multiple parts, in a short period of time with the least amount of energy. Listen, standing in this Photon Genius for 30 minutes burns 500 to 700 calories. That's the equivalent of 4 hours of hard working out in a gym. Well, I worked out. I got a lot of friends that do. You can't even get in the gym I go to at 5 in the afternoon. You can't even park. Everybody's kind of looking in the health direction, but they're starting off as a beginner, doing it manually, doing it in the primitive fashion. This is the way of the future. Anytime I could go do something in 30 minutes, what would normally take me 4 hours, and I have impact, I have stress, I've forced my body to create a ton more of lactic acid, which makes me more acid. So in the process of getting healthy, we actually feed our infections and cause other internal problems. That's why people have to quit working out. Why would your doctor say you have to quit working out? Why would you come up to the conclusion that you have to quit working out? It's because you keep getting sicker. It made you feel better for a while at first, a few months, maybe a few years, and then it ain't working. Why? Because every time you're working out, you're creating more lactic acid. Your stomach's generating lactic acid like a drunken sailor, because you don't make HCl anymore, so you're not properly digesting your food. You pick up little bugs like H. pylori, E. coli, these things in food, even health foods. We don't know it, and we don't know anything until it's just darn near too late. So this is a proactive, powerful, dynamic way of changing your body, and it's the old American way. I want it now. I want it fast. And anybody wants to soup up their body, this is the tool to do it.
And can I interject something here too?
Sure.
I have found that the sweat that when I'm standing in the machine, it's a different sweat than when I go to the gym. The gym sweat is just, I sweat a lot, but it's nothing like what my body lets go of in the Photon Genius. Every pore in my body is opening and letting go of toxins when I stand in front of this machine. That doesn't happen at the gym for me, and I work out a lot.
That's a very good point.
It's a different sweat, and it's
Jennifer. That's a very good point, and it is unique, and here's why. When we work out, we force all the muscles, all the tissues, all the organs to gear up, work a little extra, a little harder, and the byproduct of a lot of strenuous exercise and forcing circulation to these muscles manually makes your sweat glands excrete, so you do sweat from exercise. Standing in this targeted energy infrared doesn't force you to sweat through your sweat glands. It liquefies, the infrared penetrates. The energy technology opens up the receptor sites of the cells. The energy infrared penetrates 2 to 4 inches into your tissue, liquefies molecules of moisture, and they have to come out of your skin. It does not make you sweat like exercise. It's the ultimate sweat of the body without exercise. And in the process of doing that, guess what? All of the toxins that you've been storing in your tissues, your muscles, all your tissues, all the fat you have on your body is there primarily because of toxins. The way God made our bodies is so that if we do get exposed to toxins, instead of those toxins having to be handled by your lymph system, which is already overloaded because it ain't working, and your blood can't handle anything because it's already weak, deficient, no oxygen, no minerals, and all your organs are weak and insulted from toxins that you've been exposed to. So guess what? The body, out of self-defense, to preserve life for you, to keep you from dying from these toxins, stores it in fat. This business about people that are overweight because they don't have any willpower. They've been exposed to so many toxins in a bad diet, bad atmosphere, bad exposure at schools, at home, or wherever they go, like Jennifer exposed to black mold, your body gets overwhelmed. Well, your body's going to protect you from dying from too many toxins by making fat and storing it in it. Well, every pound of fat your body makes, now it's created 7 more miles of a blood system. So now the heart has to work harder. And these toxins that get overwhelmed in an organ like the liver or the kidneys, once they get saturated, there's no more. It's kind of like once you fill your storage unit up, if you got more boxes, you're going to have to leave them outside. There's just no more room. Well, these toxins get stored in the tissue around these organs. Do you think you're going to exercise and get rid of any of this? No, you're just going to push it around in the next space. And this is the ultimate way to detox the body, which pulls toxins right out of your skin. It dissolves fat, and the toxins come out of the skins. They are not going to your detox organs and make them work harder, make you sicker. And one of the benefits of this is that a lot of people have found whenever they're having a detox from a cleanse or a diet or exposure to something, their body's too toxic and the body's trying to detox, so they're like sick and they're tired, they can't sleep, they can't move, they got pain everywhere. They call it fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, baloney. It's toxins that just are overwhelm the body, and these are the symptoms you experience. And you cannot force your detox organs to deal with these things when they're overloaded, and that's why they started storing in the tissues to begin with. It's the ultimate smartest way in the world to detox the body. And by the way, the Photon Genius is where all doctors send their patients if they're detoxing from any other treatment they're given. It's just smart.
So tell me who's using this right now. I mean, give me an idea of where you can find these machines, who's using them, how they're using them.
It was debuted at the World Congress of Anti-Aging in December of 2009, and we've got them in about 17 states now. When we originally designed this, you can stand or sit in it. It surrounds you. It's like a horseshoe, but it fits in the corner of a room, so it doesn't really take up much space. Doctors and clinics that get them, they don't have to build a new room or do a divider or anything. They can just park this in the corner of a room. We have a practitioner over here in Mesa, Arizona, that got one. His son had stage 4 lung cancer. He got one for his son, and his ex-wife didn't want it at her house, and he didn't have room in his apartment, so he talked a chiropractor friend of his into letting him park it in the corner of his lunchroom, of his chiropractic clinic. Well, he's been over there over a year now, and it's still in the lunchroom. So when you go do a Genius session at this guy's office, there's a table and chairs, there's a refrigerator, a microwave, and a sink, and the doctors don't want him to take it out because they and their wives are using it, a lot of their patients are using it. But originally we thought when we released it, mostly 80% of these would probably go to doctors or practitioners, massage therapists, colon therapists, medical doctors, alternative doctors. And a lot of them have gone to those places. Some of the best alternative medical doctors in this part of the world have them in their clinics. But 80% of these go to individuals in their homes, which proves one of my theories that I approve even myself, and that is patients are usually smarter than their doctors, and they're certainly a lot more motivated. When you got some kind of terminal thing you're dealing with, and everybody's just getting you to try this and try that and try bacon fat, hey, you eventually get to the point, I need something that I can tell is doing something. I need something that I can take some kind of control of my destiny with this diagnosis here, and the Photon Genius is the first, biggest, baddest thing in history to do it. And all you got to do is go try it one time, and the handwriting's on your wall, not some testimony from somebody else. But all of the people that have it are using it home for a variety of things. We have women that get it just because they don't like wrinkles, skin blemishes, and cellulite. And this is the only known way to change those pretty quick. You know what women have nicknamed this? Plastic surgery without a knife. Matter of fact, we have some plastic surgeons that are getting them to help people get over their plastic surgeries, to heal faster. This is the biggest thing to heal wounds and get rid of pain and restore balance of energy. Just look, I have one person that got one because their child couldn't sleep. Well, 1 in 6 adults have chronic sleep disorders. 1 in 3 women use some kind of sleep medication. Over 2 million children suffer from sleep disorders. 30 to 40% of children don't sleep enough, period. And the use of sleeping pills among children has gone up 85% in the last 4 years. What is going on here? Well, that might be okay for people and they're just in la-la land and don't see the handwriting on their children's wall. But we have a lot of Lyme disorders, a lot of sleep disorders, a lot of digestive disorders. A whole lot of people get these just because of pain. When I first started, after we developed it, I only had the energy to get out of bed, go to the corner of my bedroom, do a Genius session, take a shower, and go back to bed. And this went on for several weeks before I was able to even actually get out and go in my car and check my mail. I was nearly dead.
Wow.
So how has this changed your business then, Jennifer? Tell me about your business. How is that going?
It's going great, Stephanie, and I opened this business for the machine. So this new business that I have, Energy Life Center in Eureka, California, is new for the Photon Genius. And of course, my employees and I use it every day, and their children use it, and their families use it, and we have people coming in and using it as well, clients. I have one woman that has an autistic son, and she is more than delighted with the results that are happening in short order with him. And they don't turn the heat on. She sits in there with them, and he's happy in there. And the other thing I want to interject, too, is a lot of people come into this building, and before they leave, they use the word happy as how they feel, and they have said that. So it changes. It can change your mood even. Just the energy is wonderful, and people like the energy as soon as they walk in the door, and that all has to do with the frequency of the machine, and we have the machine going all the time. But
the other thing that Jennifer mentioned a while ago about like autism and Lyme patients, now these are some real head-scratching diagnoses because the doctors don't particularly want to do. The alternative doctors are, guessing their own way or whatever. And so there are a lot of things that they don't really have a clue as to why we have them, and we don't know what to ask as to why we have them or whatever. So it's kind of up to us to figure this out, to find some kind of solution on our own. That's why they have these Lyme Autism conferences all over the country. Well, the last 4 years, and from Arizona to California, the Lyme Autism conferences featured the Photon Genie, which is the predecessor to the Genius. And now the Genius on a grander scale is the number one thing that helps people get completely over these things. The big trick with Lyme is that anything that works on it, because they're like critters in your tissue, transport through your blood, and they're a mutating pathogen. So what that means is if you find something that works on them, they learn from it, they adapt. Cancer is a mutating pathogen, so that's why everybody knows if you go do anything that's supposed to work on cancer, it may appear to work for a while, but when it comes back with a vengeance because of how hard you tried to hit it, and it learned from it, it became resistant, resilient, and comes back, like everybody says, with a vengeance. Well, the trick with this Photon Genius is targeted infrared, so it puts one of the natural enemies of any pathogen in the body is heat. That's why a fever comes on us when we get an infection that's overwhelming. And the fever, the heat, kills it, and your immune system manages it. Well, this is like a forced fever, only you don't have to wait until you have a fever of 104 and risk brain damage and everything else. This is targeted just to the tissue that you put up here and get it as hot as you need to get it to do what you want to do. But Lyme, one of the keys with Lyme is that when you find something that works, because it does affect these little critters, they're in tissues and organs, and they're active. They're like bugs in the body, and it's extremely painful. It throws you into a healing crisis. So anything that works on Lyme, people have to stop because they're sick for 2 or 3 weeks. By the time they go back to do what worked on it, these bugs have adapted, mutated, and it doesn't work as well anymore. And it's a whole history of it. We have Lyme practitioners that specialize in cancer and Lyme disorders, and the thing that they documented by blood tests, because they're professional medical doctors that treat Lyme disease.
I'm going to interrupt just for a second. It looks like we might have a caller, so let me see if I can bring them on.
Sure.
Hi, this is Stephanie. Do you have a question? Hi, you're on Hello, Dr. CJ. Did you have a question for either Jennifer or Warren? Okay. For some reason, we're unable to make the connection.
Well, we'll just get back on the little Lyme critters.
Okay, so a thought that came to me, is this something then that I guess could you work on animals? Is it good for babies, seniors?
Oh, they've used the Photon Genie, the portable model, on animals and horses. I had a lady that had her horse had Crohn's disease. We figured out how to rig this thing up, put the little transmitter boxes on either side of her horse, and the vet called her every day trying to put the horse down. She still has this horse. So the technology has worked for all of these years, but now on this kind of scale, it's just kind of what we call a no-brainer. But with Lyme, by blood test, they proved it drops the viral load of the blood every single session, and no Herxheimer reaction. The biggest problem with a lot of these diseases is when you find something that works, it makes you feel sick. Well, if you feel sick for any reason, including a good reason like you're doing something that's helping you, you go getting a Genius. And I mean, it snaps you around quick.
Okay, so we are quickly running out of time, which I'm sad because I still have more questions. But so I think our listeners probably would like to know, what does this cost? For those that are interested, what are they looking at?
The Photon Genie, the portable model, is $29.95. It's the price of a computer, $2,995. The Photon Genius, which is the big sort of clinic model or whatever, is $24,700. It's about the price of a car. And when you think about how many cars we bought and how many things we've done, how much money you spend, it's the price of one surgery. Mm-hmm. And it's the only way to avoid those kind of experiences. And if you go to edskilling.com, EDSKILLING.com, there's a lot of information, or Photon Genius, PHOTONGENIUS.com. And, of course, you can go to Jennifer's Energy Life Center in Eureka, and she has a website and can direct to other information. And, of course, obviously, we know a lot more than we can say in 1 hour on the show, but all you got to do is go to the website and search for information. It's been featured on cancertutor.com, which is the big alternative website of everything in the world supposed to be alternatives for cancer. It's featured as the #1 thing to do for the most chronic diseases.
Wow. All right.
So
go ahead,
then,
Jennifer.
too, following up with that, we do 30-minute sessions typically here for $50. So that's a typical price for a 30-minute session in the Genius, and of course sell packages, so you can get 10 one-hour sessions, or you can get 10 30-minute sessions, and at a reduced rate, unlimited monthly session rates. So it's variable and doable.
And it only takes one 30-minute session to find out. Prove to yourself. Listen to yourself.
Yes.
Listen to the good signs in your body instead of all this ignorance out here about, well, there's probably nothing you can do. You don't need to do anything. The other thing about this is when you think about what we go do to get our nails done, or get our hair cut, or do any of these little kind of superficial things, shoot, nothing will make you look better and feel better than the Photon Genius, and it does it for you, not to you, and it's just a wonderful experience, as Jennifer's described.
And I also think it's very important to note that you rolled it out at the anti-aging conference in Las Vegas, because I feel like I'm getting my youth back. I mean, that's the difference that it's made in my life, my energy, and everything. You know,
it's so noticeable. I think that's what you heard, the kind of the silver thread through this conversation. But you know, every one of us, every day, we do one of two things: we build health or produce disease in our body. And if you're not doing anything at all, guess what you're doing? Because health doesn't come by doing nothing.
Right. Well, you guys got me definitely real interested, and I'm going to have to do some research to see where the closest one is to where I'm located, and I want to try a session.
Well, and maybe somebody on your talk show or whatever just get one, because I'm telling you, once the word gets out in California, this will be a booming business, and everybody will have to have one.
Yeah. And I'll give you my links too, in case anyone wants to get a hold of me. I'm at Energy Life Center, and we have a Facebook page under that name. We also have a website under energylifecenter.net that is being built. It's not up quite yet, but it will be soon. And they can get a hold of us at energylifecenter@gmail.com for emails. So.
And Jennifer is the lead person there in Eureka at the Energy Life Center. And, of course, she's one of our priority practitioners and has this clinic specifically for the Photon Genius. So she has access to all of the doctors. We have 18 practitioners, medical doctors, alternative doctors, energy workers from around the world on staff and accessible through the Skilling Institute. So if you run in with some kind of special case or some kind of complex problem, whatever, she has access to information you can't get anywhere else in the world, because we have access to information from doctors in 42 countries.
Wow.
Very helpful. It is very helpful, and they're very good about that at Skilling Institute. You guys are great.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Wonderful.
You got a great spot
very
there.
Helpful.
It's really cool.
It is, and I'm really excited about it.
Well, I am just so excited to have learned about this device and what it's doing. This is amazing. I mean, it sounds almost too good to be true, but I believe you guys, and I want to try it, check it out. And I'm sure you've really got the curiosity up with a lot of our listeners as well. So I want to thank you both for taking time out to come and educate us about this great opportunity that is available.
Thank you, Stephanie, and tell CJ hi for us, and we'll get on the phone with her next. And you did a great job, and thanks for orchestrating this good show.
Yes, and thank you, Warren, too.
Glad to join you guys.
I always learn something when I listen to you, Warren, and I learned so much today listening, even though, I've heard some of it before, but there's so much information when it comes to healing, layers and layers and layers. And it's always wonderful to hear what you have to say. And
Well, in business, because I was a legal and financial consultant for 35 years before cancer nearly killed me, and we only have one word in business, and that's results. I'm not interested in conversation, thoughts, and theories and ideas and try this and try that. Hey, just tell me how something worked. Tell me that it worked. Let me try it. And all anyone has to do is just go do one session. You leave feeling just like you do after doing 4 hours of working out in the gym. You feel the air. You feel every inch of your skin. You feel alive, and you feel like you breathing more even through your skin. And every time you use the Genius, that's the feeling you get.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely want to experience those kinds of results. That sounds wonderful. That's what you and I and all your listeners are, whether they say it or not. That's all what we want to know. Where can I go make my body better? How? Everybody's really trying to find out how and what to try or whatever. Well, this is beyond trying. This is a no-brainer. You just go stand or sit in it, and you walk out saying, "Oh my gosh, I noticed this here. I noticed it there. People sleep better. They poop better. It's just really noticeable on a lot of levels in the body. And the more seriously congested and infected somebody is, the longer it takes to completely clear these things deep in tissue and everything. If you got extra weight on you, it takes time to peel that off. But there's nothing that'll peel off weight and get rid of cellulite faster
than this energy sauna Photon Genius.
10 seconds left, so I just